live.
In pre-market trading, it's not always easy to figure out like what to do, what's the right move. But sometimes it's easier to figure out what's the wrong move. Berkshire Hathaway up $25 on no news. Well, it had news, but nothing we didn't already know. We'll cover that. A few other earnings. Domino's Pizza delivers again. Lee Auto trading into green. Folks, it's Monday. It's pre-market prep. You may think it's a boring market, but we're ready for you.
Welcome to Benzinga's pre-market prep.
This is a volatile puppy here.
It's all about execution styles and strategies.
All right, good morning, traders and investors. Starting out in the red, kind of where we were on Friday after the after-hours action, just down about 5 handles, just under 5,100. The buck back under 104, down 18 cents at 103.68. Bonds up a quarter point, trying to get away from the low of the move at 110 and 119 and 10/30 seconds. Crude backing off, down 37 cents at 76.12. Gold down 720. 2042.20. Silver in the red by 40 cents. Whoa, at 22.58. Bitcoin up $80 at 51,830. Let's bring in Triple D. Triple D. I hope you got up at 5 to 4 this morning.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be up at 4 a.m. and selling Berkshire Hathaway at $440 a share. I have no idea what people are doing, but if you can learn a lesson here, I'll give you a little bit of history. Bring Ryan Faluna in on here.
Hey, Ryan. How you doing?
Good morning. Happy Monday, boys. Happy Monday out there in viewerland. How's it going?
Pretty good. We're just going to do a little teaching lesson here on chasing stocks at 4 o'clock in the morning. I used to, so history, I traded the 4 a.m. open for the better part of probably a decade when I was younger, like a lot younger. So I'm talking when I was like probably 30 years old to like 30 to 40 years old, about 30 years old to 40 years old. I would wake up, set the alarm at 3:45, make sure, I had the majority of the news, like looking through, knowing what's going on, prep myself basically in 10 minutes for the 4 a.m. open. At the 4 a.m. open, if stuff was just ridiculously dumb, like overbought to a ridiculous level, I would short it. And it was mostly like arbitrage stuff. Like it was like just opportunities, even within arbitrage at that 4 a.m. open where you'd have a stock trading up, but the market's trading down or something like that. And there was great opportunity. Apparently, that opportunity still exists here because somebody's buying Berkshire Hathaway at $440 this morning. $440 of 23. Okay. One, Berkshire Hathaway is not a meme stock. Two, Berkshire Hathaway is not even, a one company and they just did really well. It's a portfolio of companies that historically trades with the S&P to a certain extent. I've never in my 25-year professional trading career seen Berkshire Hathaway trade up 6% and the S&Ps are trading down. I've never seen that happen. And further to that, I was like, when I woke up, and I woke up late at like 6:30, I saw Berkshire Hathaway is trading 435, so it was already 5 or 6 points off, 434. The first thing I did was I'm like, well, they must have did a buyback because they got a lot of cash. I bet they announced a buyback. It can't be up that much on just their earnings report because Berkshire Hathaway, we know the companies they own. Yeah, it was record earnings, but it's going to be record earnings for Berkshire. I have record earnings every quarter. So I'm like, it must be a buyback. So I'm literally coming in looking for, the buyback news. I'm like, there's no buyback. There's nothing. There's nothing except the earnings report. I'm like, this is up 20 points on their earnings that we know about. I'm like, this is the craziest thing ever. So I did short stock. I've already covered because up 1% now is reasonable. So now it's over 15 points off from those highs. So lesson to be learned here. One, if your company's as big as Berkshire Hathaway, and it's a portfolio of companies, it's like an ETF basically. It's not traded, but like it's not going to have the the same the same redemption and creation redemption that an ETF has to keep it perfectly in line with the holdings, but it still trades kind of with the holdings. The holdings didn't go up 6%, folks, overnight. They didn't go up 6% overnight. So it's reasonable to be up 1%. You know, good earnings, record earnings. They got a lot of cash, lotta. That's reasonable. I still wouldn't buy it up $7, but I definitely wouldn't buy it up 17. I definitely wouldn't buy it up 23. So if you're coming in at 4 in the morning and you're buying stocks just because you're like, this is the story of the day, I got to get in there, you're doing it backwards, folks. The 4 a.m. trade is the fade trade. I remember they did a video on this with me talking about it like 5 years ago. The 4 a.m. trade is historically usually the fade trade because people come in. There's no liquidity. It's not market makers out there. So if you want to really buy something, you got to really go high, and then maybe somebody else that's a professional trader who's actually got a little bit more information than you're just not delusional like you will maybe short it to you. But bottom line, don't chase stocks at 4 a.m. when the liquidity is at its lowest point.
Okay, 168 billion in cash, right? I mean, I guess a good thing or bad thing. Just think about its top. Apple kind of been stuck in the mud, recently. Oxy not doing much, but the main thing, and we can move on after this, is that the average true range, the 9-day average true range for Berkshire, Dennis. What do you think it is?
A couple bucks.
It's
$3
$5.
It's $5. Well, because it's a 400, and we've been moving
Right.
around on the S&P.
Right.
But it really moves around with, again, there's been this separation happening, and I haven't understood it for a while, where Berk just goes up no matter what. I tweeted about it last week. I'm like, it's like it used to trade with Apple. I used to trade Berk with Apple. Apple would be down, Berk would be down a little bit. The arbitrage guys are just like, we don't touch this thing anymore because it just does its own thing. It's not respecting any type of, looking at the NAV and looking at the holdings. The reason it trades with Apple because it's roughly 25% of its overall holdings. People say, no, you're wrong. It's 50%. But no, half of the companies in Berkshire Hathaway are private. Hard to value them. They get a rough value that about half the company's private, about half of its publicly traded companies. So half of the publicly traded companies is Apple. Apple has not had a good 2024. It's down on the year. It's one of the only stocks down on the year of the tech stocks. Berkshire Hathaway is 25% of its money in Apple, but they don't give a crap. Berkshire Hathaway is up 15% on the year. It's like a separation happening that is just completely insane. I have no idea why. I think eventually it will come back in, but it almost feels like today was like upside capitulation, Joel. And again, you can't say it's upside capitulation when it's 4,000 shares trading it up there at $440.
Yeah,
but
4,000
it just feels like 440 was complete and utter nonsense. I love Warren Buffett. I love investing in Berkshire Hathaway. It's been one of the best long-term investments ever. Right now, this is completely irrationally overextended. I'm not saying it's a gimme short of 425, but at 440 this morning when it was up $23, that's about as easy of a layup as you're going to get. I wasn't up at 4 a.m., unfortunately.
And just one thing of note here. I mean, fading a move like Dennis shorted it. It was like his instinct. If you're newer to after hours or pre-market trading, maybe using it to exit a trade. Maybe
There you go,
whatever broker. If you had a target at 435 and you saw the news is over the weekend, and we saw it over the weekend. I said, Dennis, well, 168 billion in cash. He's probably getting 5% on that. That's not as great as the market. But using it to exit trades, if you're newer as opposed to initiating. Also, you got to have a broker that will allow you to do it. If you don't have a broker that doesn't allow you to do it, then you either got to put some more money in your account or find a new broker because there are some good opportunities. But that 4,000 shares.
Yeah, and again, that is a lesson. I think you want to be able to trade some of these hours. But again, you got to get up. It takes a toll on your health. The reason I don't trade 4 a.m. anymore, if people are asking, is because it's just too hard on you. Like I would wake up at 3:45 and then try to go back to sleep after the 4 a.m. open like 4:45.
And you couldn't.
But then you're kind of pumped and you're kind of like awake. So then you're like, so I'm just not sleeping enough and it's taking its toll on my health. And maybe that's why I have health problems now too. So maybe you shouldn't wake up at 4 a.m. to trade. But if you want to make money, I made a lot of money, folks. I mean, a lot of money over the years fading 4 a.m. moves. I never added it all up, but I can pretty much guarantee you that I did well at 4 a.m., not by chasing moves, but by fading irrational exuberance. I'll take it from Alan Greenspan.
That's pretty awesome, Dennis. I'll be honest. I don't like pre-market trading. I'm with Joel. I use that to maybe close a position if it reaches one of my target or something like that.
Sure.
But I don't like opening new positions. That's a nice little fade there in the morning. Okay, let's move on with some other earnings that we have here. We had Domino's reporting earnings today. They had a mixed report. EPS 448 beats the 437 estimate, so a beat there. But sales 1.4 billion misses the 1.42 billion estimate, so a little bit of a mixed report there. They did say same-store sales growth 2.8%, international same-store sales growth 0.1%. They did an additional buyback of $1 billion, and they raised the quarterly dividend 25% to $1.51.
Domino's Pizza is one of the best run fast food franchises ever. And, give Kramer some props here too, because this is one of his darlings too. Like we beat on him sometimes, we give him love sometimes. That's what we do on pre-market prep. You're hot, we're backing you. You're not, and we kind of make fun of you a little bit. But I'll tell you, Jim Kramer has been hot. Domino's Pizza, new all-time highs. This stock just continues to. Oh, actually, sorry, I take it back. Not multi-year highs.
Ryan said the same thing too. Ryan said the same thing.
I thought it was
because we look at a 2-year chart and it's all-time highs. But 2021 was there when the bubble of all bubbles again. Domino's Pizza was probably trading 50 times earnings because you just got to buy everything and regardless of value. Yeah, it's coming back.
What were we going to do for pizza during COVID if Domino's wasn't delivering? Of course they had to go to 500.
There you go. And they had it even written on the boxes. Remember, Ryan? They had it written on the boxes, no touch. Like it was something like a little sticker and it said no touch,
contact-free delivery. That makes me wonder, what were they doing? Delivery. What were they doing before that? Were they touching the pizza? Anyway, I digress.
They maybe were touching the pizza.
Is it time for my
touching a pizza with their bare hands? Oh my gosh! What the world come to?
Is it time for my Domino's Pizza story when I was in college?
Okay. Oh, yes. Hell yeah, it is.
So when my senior year in college, they used to have free delivery if it wasn't there within 30 minutes. Okay. And so we would order when we knew it was a busy time, and we lived on a one-way street. So we used to go down to the end of the street and park our car. Okay. And they would block it.
That's so dirty, Joel.
That is so dirty, Joel.
So dirty. That's totally a Joel move right there. Wow. I can't believe you did that.
But if we did, I mean, it depends. But if
so dirty.
It's common sense.
You know what? We teach this trading is about the edge. That was the edge, Joel? To get the extra 30 minutes. You block the one-way street, they can't get through. So he's running down the street. Is that what he's doing? He's running down the street trying to get to you before the 30 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. It worked a couple times, but we would also give a big tip.
That's good. But I made him run down the street.
Arbitrage Joel. Arbitrage
in the I love it. It's a 30-minute delivery here.
Well, I guess if you woke up early, this didn't trade its high because this didn't have the news until later. But once again, 500 shares, they took it to 467. And now you're back at 454.
I wonder if you wrote here academics or, people, that are working on papers. I've never seen one, but I wonder, if what the percentage of highs set like in that 4 a.m., like between 4 and 4:20 a.m. on stocks that have news, what the percentage of highs is during that time. Because people are so excited and so many different times. Remember the Kathy days, Ryan? When she would just announce that she owned a stock and it would pop 20% of 4 a.m. Like, I mean, and obviously, that doesn't happen at all. When Kathy announces something, nobody even subscribes to the letter anymore because it doesn't move at all. Sometimes it goes down because she bought it. But I mean, it would pop. So Kathy Wood bought this stock. It's a new position. Buy it up 25% because Kathy knows all. Those are just the crazy times.
And then one of two things would happen. It would trade sideways and tank at the open, or it would bleed back the entire pre-market. And all those people that bought at the highs were sitting there like, early bird gets the worm, forget it. This is not right.
The only early bird that gets the worm is the early bird that's fading those moves. They're getting the worms.
As we learned this morning.
Yeah. Unbelievable. But yeah, so Domino's Pizza, Joel doing that. It's been an interesting morning. The one other stock before we come back to earnings in a second, I do want to talk Walmart here as well, because Walmart has indeed now is trading post-split. It has had its 3-for-1 stock split here. and wowzers. What did it do at 4 a.m.? Sometimes these things open right at the high at 4 a.m. too. Did it open at the high as well, or no?
No, not no.
Where's
This
the 4
one.
a.m. chart?
Oh yeah, there we
Did
go.
it? Did it? Bring it up.
Let's see. Let's bring it up.
Where was it?
Yep.
4 a.m.
It opened 58.90, high 59.01.
So it's right there. So okay, we
Yeah,
can't pick
right
on the
there.
4 a.m. traders for this one. A lot of times, if a stock was going post split, I would wake up at that time too, because people are like, don't even realize it's trading post split, and they might like throw out like an order to buy this thing at like, you know, a higher price, and obviously people are going to hit them on it. But all right, so it didn't. We won't pick on them too much. Are you sure it didn't open higher than that? That was it, eh? Well, that's disappointing.
Oh, look at this 59. I love this 59, folks. Keep an eye on this. If you're looking for the post 3-for-1 split, you had the euphoria back at the beginning of last week. You had the break down to 57.50. This is halfway back right here, 59 bucks. That's your pre-market high. If you're looking at this thing to go back to 60 bucks, you better make sure you get a strong 59 bid off the open here. A lot of times stocks do fade after their splits. Maybe you get a couple days of consolidation. A lot of retail earnings this week, so that
a
could
lot
be
of people buying this into the split too. I had a good closing trade, so I bought it on the close on Friday. And again, I don't know if you can see the Friday trading.
Let me see.
Action.
Yeah,
Maybe
let me go to the
yeah, I
60
flipped
minute.
out of it like after hours easily. So I don't know.
Nope.
Like I get confused on these charts here, Joel, still too, because maybe you can blow it up. So I'm looking at the chart on the left. Remember,
Yep,
I
right here.
I wanted the one chart system, but everybody likes the 3 chart system. Yeah, so I bought the close, which is confusing now because it's got out of the 3-for-1, so it's like 100 and whatever the heck it was. But anyways, it traded up 30-40 cents from the close, and it gapped down on the close too, which was a gift because I was buying LOC limit on close, and then it actually gapped down on the close. And then it ran back up, and I was able to get out after hours. I didn't even have to take it through the split, but I don't mind taking it through the split. I just know historically the stocks tend to open higher on the day of the split, so so it would have worked out either way if you bought that close. You were making money if you bought the close.
Here's the close right here, what you're referring to on the 15-minute chart. This is the 18 would be the it's 1800. So that was that was 6 o'clock, but little week into the close. So keep an eye on Walmart today. Keep an eye on the $59 area.
And that Walmart might be interesting if the consumer continues to weaken. I could see more and more people shopping at Walmart with that split out of the way. It'll be interesting to see how Walmart trades. Okay, we got another earnings here. This is a Chinese EV leader, ticker LI. This is Li Auto. All right, everyone's excited for this. EPS 30 cents beats the 29-cent estimate. Sales 5.88 billion beats the 5.48 billion. Total deliveries for Q4 were 131,805 vehicles. That represents 184.6 year-over-year improvement. And they're expecting Q1 revenue 4.4 to 4.53 billion versus the 5.43 estimate. So sorry about those similar numbers, but looking like they're guiding under that estimate there. Vehicle deliveries 100 to 103,000.
Wow. Big pop for Li Auto. This one has bucked the trend of EV makers. And I don't know, do they have traditional? Like, are they making, I don't know, follow the company close enough, so I'll ask the chat. I don't know if this is a pure EV play or not. I've always had it in my EV stocks, but, again, EV's done so poorly. You got to be impressed with the outperformance here, even though the stock is down, from where it was, 6 months or a year ago. It's still, so the EVs have just been murdered. So, I mean, Li Auto has done something well. It makes me wonder if there's traditional, like gas guzzling cars in there too.
There's not. It looks like their lineup, their lineup, Dennis, is full EV.
Okay, because Howard's saying hybrid's in there too. So hybrid has done well.
Let me see.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't follow the company close at all. I hardly ever trade the stock. So I'm just curious because I'm just looking at the outperformance here. I look at a stock like Rivian or even Tesla that just cannot find its way at all. And then you look at Toyota, which is just on fire because of hybrid. I wonder if Li Auto's got hybrid in there too.
They do. Sorry about that.
They do have hybrid.
They have hybrids. Yep.
Okay, so this is the help. So what has been the trade? I was wrong on this trade. I got punished because I had those lithium stocks. Has been the anti-EV movement. So, Kathy, obviously very, very wrong again. It just hasn't worked. EV hasn't worked. The cars are too expensive and people are just not jumping on. People are jumping on the hybrid bandwagon instead, which Toyota is all over. That's why Toyota TM continues to break out and make new highs. Li Auto got some hybrid in there, so it's getting some love from that too. So it's like the hybrid stock. It's got some EV, it's got some hybrid. That's probably why the stock is holding up better. But it seems like that's where the market is going, more to hybrid as opposed to straight electric. So Li Auto, good report. I'm not chasing anything.
They're slinging some volume here, 2.2 million shares. So this is much different move than you had in these other ones. You got almost to $40, 39.99 is your pre-market high. You're only $1.40 away from there. So excuse me, that fills a gap going back to the end of last year. So try and hold out for a 40 target here. To get above 40, make sure it sustains a 40 bid. The top of yesterday's range, way down there at 35.74, and they probably have a really good accounting department too, Dennis. So
we say that we shouldn't say it, but
right,
again, they don't
right.
have GAAP accounting over in China. So general accepted accounting principles, I don't think are over there in China. So we'll leave it at that. You take the numbers at face value. These are unaudited numbers. They're not being audited by any Canadian companies, I don't believe. Maybe they do, or US companies. I don't believe, but we digress.
Lee also looks like it's got a double top right up around 48 if it keeps going there. But I'm with you, Joe. It's got to maintain that 40 bid if it gets above here.
Yeah.
So a couple other stocks that reported this morning. They're small companies, so we're reaching a bit. We are going to get a lot of reports, and we'll do a little cloud preview here in a few minutes here. But there was a couple other one. Fresh Pet, which is one that a lot of people trade. FRPT is really ripping here this morning, and this is a huge move after a long period of consolidation. Wow. We've been consolidating here, what feels like forever. 2 months of basically just trading between $88 and $90, and then it kind of broke out ahead of the report on Friday. Well, that breakout is continuing something fierce here this morning. Stock trading up 16%. The bull market's still intact here because irrational exuberance all over the place. Well, I don't know. I don't follow the Fresh Pet story closely. How are these earnings, Ryan? Do you have them in the pro?
Yeah, sure do. GAAP EPS of 31 cents beats the 27-cent estimate. Revenue of 215.4 million beats by 10.8 million. So that looks like they were looking for about 205 million there.
So nice beat, nice numbers. We'll throw it to our technical analyst, Mr. Elconin, to give us some levels.
Well, I'm going to tread softly here. I will say back at the end of April 2022, if you've been waiting to get out at that same price, you're almost right there right now. 107.82. That coincides with the pre-market high. Dennis, is it bid at 107.50?
Oh yeah, well, not quite, but it's bid up solidly.
Yeah,
105.01. This is thin though, folks. Joel's making a good point. This is very thin trade. We're 105, 106, 107. We're basically 2 points wide right now. 105.05 for 2,000. That's a nice bid. 107.50 for 1,500. That's a nice offer. Not much in between. There's an odd lot. If you subscribe to ArcaBook, you can see the little odd lots and stuff. There's an odd lot bid at 106.30. You won't see that on your regular feed. You got to pay extra for that. So I can see there's a little odd lot there. But in between, there's not really nothing. So, I mean, this is wide. This is thin. This is still, you would say, in price discovery mode.
Are they like a Chewy, or do they actually deliver pets? Or
they make like fresh food, Joel, that you store in a fridge. So it's not like kibble, and it's like wet food that's supposed to be more real food for the dog. They've got an outlet. They got a little cooler at Costco. They're in the grocery stores.
I bet you it's pricey. Right?
It is. It is definitely expensive. I think some of their competitors do subscription services, which is really annoying. Paul's asking here if they split at some point. I don't have any split for this company.
Yeah.
Wow. Chewy, how's Chewy doing? I haven't looked at that.
If it's trading off this, not even responding. So I guess they don't care what Fresh Pet's reporting. Chewy has been the dog of all dogs.
You're not kidding.
Pun fully intended. I've not liked Chewy for a long time. You know that. I've talked about this stock on the show. Stock is making new all-time lows, I believe. New all-time lows, Chewy. So again, it was all exciting during the tech, during the big bubble of 2020, the COVID, where we're all staying home and never going to go to a pet store again. They bought Chewy up to over $100 a share. Well, it's come down substantially. It's $16 here now. A story's over here, folks. This long-term story, and it's going to be pops. It's going to be opportunities. But overall, I mean, I don't know. Maybe valuation has come down to a reasonable level, but it was always valuation here. Where is the PE on Chewy here now? Let's just
Where-
see, because
who's
this
that?
is all. This is just a pet. Like, what's that, Joel?
Who's the joker that when he's not a
Ryan
joker?
Cohen.
Ryan Cohn, yeah. We haven't heard
Ryan
from him in a
Cohen.
while.
Yeah, with GameStop, Chewy. He left Chewy though, I believe. I don't know if he's still on.
I think
in
he was
Chewy, is
way.
he?
I
he's out
think
of-
he started Chewy, didn't he?
Yeah, he started it, but I think he's
Yeah.
gone. I think he's out of Chewy. Like,
Yeah.
I believe he left Chewy a long time ago.
I think so
Didn't
too.
he?
By the way, Dennis,
Pat?
forward PE here of 64.5.
Oh,
on
who's paying
Chewy.
64 for a dog food like company?
Nope.
I mean, this is what it was paying, like, and it's PE, on the current, because it hardly makes money. It's 536. I mean, you just gotta, like, sometimes it's just about fundamentals, and that's why the stock is down from $100 to 16, because it did never have the fundamentals to justify that price. And it's not an AI company. They can say, oh yeah, well, maybe, unless they start coming up with food for the AI bot dog there over at Boston Dynamics, I'm not in. So sorry, Chewy, not for me.
Yeah, I'll say this on Chewy. This one's, first of all, your joke about the AI thing there. I know you were only half kidding, but the new line of Callaway golf clubs say that their driver has AI built into it. So maybe you're not that far
people
off.
are getting
It's
on
unbelievable.
Really?
It's AI smoke is what it's called. They say that they got the sweet spots on the face using
Holy
AI.
mackerel!
We've
The
jumped the shark,
AI's
folks.
in the clubs.
We've jumped the shark here.
That's what I
The
need,
AI,
man.
I've never even thought about that. Oh, I got to get an AI hockey stick. It'll just score goals. You just hold the stick there, and it just does all the work.
That would be
incredible. I
Chewy,
never knew that, Ryan.
it's new this year, Dennis. You're not that far behind.
That's such valuable information, man. I'm telling you, the AI baseball bat. You just hold it, and it swings itself and hits a home run every time. Man, they're gonna be cheating with AI everywhere. It's gonna be tough to bet. Every single journeyman baseball player gets an AI bat, and he's going to look like Cecil Fielder, just popping those home runs right out of there. Got to give the D some love.
It's going to be everywhere, Dennis. It's going to be everywhere. Really quickly before we wrap it up on Chewy here, the thing that's tough for me is that I actually love this company. I use this company for my own animals. I get the best price from this company, but man, the stock has been hurting. I've actually tried to trade this long a few times here on the way back down at post-COVID. It just hasn't worked. So I love the company. Stock's no good. Really tough for me to actually trade that.
Yeah, I'm just avoiding it. And I know we talked Chewy a long time. We didn't talk Fresh Pet. I don't follow the Fresh Pet story very closely. So I don't know
who bought Callaway? Was it?
It used to be ELY, but it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, MODG. Because I just look at a Cushnet Holdings. Holy mackerel! You talk about a seasonal trade. Look at that thing at all-time high with the Masters coming up, and then this is the one that bought Callaway.
MODG chart, Joel. This one looks good too.
Let's see. Let's see.
MODG chart. Same.
Oh.
Not highs, but hooking, consolidating after the big sell-off here. I like this MODG. Writing it down. The AI play, like
here we go.
Is it MODG for sure? Callaway bot or Top Golf Callaway. Yeah, even the name.
Yep.
You know what? The AI clubs. I mean, we already know this story, I guess, but maybe they're going to announce it again. Better AI in there. I like this chart. What's the valuation? Let's stop before we get too excited. MODG. We go to our trusty Benzinga Pro. We want to make sure we're not paying 50 times earnings, and we are. The forward PE is exactly 50.
Oh, that was.
We got to do a little further research. Maybe the forward PE is going to come down. I like the chart though.
Hey Dennis, you're too hockey in there, man. How about my Red Wings?
They're going to make the playoffs. My Oilers are terrible. I don't talk hockey anymore.
Joel, I do. You're in luck. I do. Joel, did you watch that game last night?
I did. Patrick Kane, holy mackerel!
He's awesome.
Showtime, baby. Look, as a Hawks fan, first of all, the Chelios ceremony was awesome. To have Kane come back here and score in OT, you literally couldn't have even wrote that better. Honestly, I think there were more people in the Chicago stands cheering from him. Amazing game.
He came out. He came out after he scored the winning goal in overtime on a breakaway. Okay, and there was a ton of Detroit people there. Detroit's traveling well. And then he came out. He was the last one to leave the ice. Then he came back on the ice. And I mean, I know that the Blackhawks, do they, the Blackhawks fans can be vicious. Do they still just like have this outrageous cheer during the national anthem?
Yeah, because
They
the
still do
soloist,
that.
because the soloist Jim Cornelison has some of the most golden pipes you've ever heard. It is actually a sight to be seen if you've never been to a
You ever
Blackhawks
heard
game
about
in
that,
Chicago.
Dennis?
No, I've seen, because I watched the
Yeah.
Hawks game.
Yep.
So
Okay. Sorry
I
for the
didn't know the story
digression.
behind it.
No,
though,
no
so
problem. By the way,
very
just one more thing to mention: 3 standing ovations when they played that Kane tribute. It was something else, and I cashed my parlay, so we're having a good morning.
Yeah, well, Patrick Kane, just an unbelievable hockey player for a very long period of time, and Detroit's got him, and he's still got some gaming. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence, that Detroit's doing better, and they've got a few players. They've kind of rebuilding the Blackhawks there, obviously, but good for the D. We like, Lions go almost to the Super Bowl. Detroit Red Wings might make the hockey playoffs for the first time in 7 years, so the D is back. With Tigers, I don't know what the Tigers.
Not yet.
Maybe
Anyway,
Kane,
Kane, a point per game player. Joel, let's bring this back to the market here. We've got some earnings coming up later
There you
tonight.
go. Okay, let's go.
Later tonight. I think the biggest one on deck for today is going to be Workday. That's, of course, ticker W Day here. This is not one that I trade, but this is going to kick off our cloud earnings, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, we got Workday tonight, and obviously, all these companies seem to have come from CRM. The CRM, the mother of all cloud, is coming Wednesday night. But yeah, tonight we're going to get Workday. That's the highlight. We're also going to get Zoom and Unity.
Yep.
I've got highlighted as well. Trex, if you follow that. But cloud stock, this is Cloud Week, folks. We're going to have a lot of cloud stocks reporting. Workday tonight. On Tuesday, Splunk is now obviously being taken over, so it's not going to move much. Amba on Tuesday night. Wednesday, though, holy Snowflake, CRM, Okta, Nutanix. Thursday, Viva Systems. We're going to get Zscaler too, so a little cybersecurity throw at you there. Autodesk. I mean, this is a lot of the biggest cloud names reporting, and I always call this week Cloud Week. So earnings season never ends. And Joel's on mute. He's got to do it once in a while, just once in a while. It's been a while, though, so we'll give him a break.
Workday! It's Workday. I did that on purpose.
I know we didn't hear it because you were on mute. So say it again.
You don't see the
commercial, the Workday commercial where the guy's on mute. Joel, I got it. I thought that joke was great.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it because he was on mute.
But Dennis, that's the joke.
Oh, I didn't know. You're right. Holy, it's the commercial. I should know because CNBC plays the same 10 commercials. I haven't played that one in a while, though. I forgot all about that. You're right. Right for once.
I would have just about died if he came off mute and said Workday. That would have been something else.
I forgot all about that commercial. The only commercial on CNBC right now is that get the new shower and bath commercial, which is on relentlessly there. What is the commercial? It's on nonstop. Like after 4 o'clock. It's that shower and bath, like new shower. I forget the name of the company.
It's the bathroom remodel with the one woman from the housing show. Yeah,
it's on like every commercial. There's like
every other commercial.
It's like every one.
Every other commercial.
Every other commercial. It's like, oh, here I am again. I'm going to sell you the new shower and bath. So Workday's been trumped. They must really be paying a lot in advertising because that commercial's on nonstop.
Another earnings that's coming out. I just want to discuss this stock because it's just been on the road to zero. See, iRobot, Dennis. I mean,
no.
Look at this thing.
They sentenced this company to doom when they didn't allow Amazon to buy them at 64 or 51 or whatever it was. It was basically sentenced to doom. The deal is officially dead. Now it's on its own fundamentals, and they're burning cash. We got Shark Ninja eating their lunch. Problems and you know what? This company was positioned so well, Joel. Like iRobot, they got the vacuum cleaner that runs itself. They could have totally ran with this AI theme. Been ahead of it all. So I don't know what happened, but they could have just iRobot should be the humanoid company. You know what's going to happen is be some company, if this ever went off the board, they'd be grabbing this name of this company, iRobot, for the humanoids. But I think it needs to find some type of turnaround because the Roomba is just not going to do it for them. They need to find something else. I know they were working on the lawnmower system. They've been trying to work on some other stuff. They need to stop being a one-trick pony here, and Amazon isn't going to bail them out now.
Yeah, I mean a robot with swirling blades.
They report tonight too.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I forgot. They report tonight. What'd you ask, Ryan? Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm not sure I want a robot lawnmower, a robot that's got all types of swirling blades that does it itself. Sounds like that's a disaster
scary.
waiting to happen right there.
I just envision like they kind of come up from the ground. But you'd have to have like some flashes, a lawn mowing in progress. So the kids aren't playing out there and the lawn blades come up. And so, I don't know. It's not going to be like that. But I think they have that product? Does anybody know if they ever did come out? They were talking about the lawnmower for a long time.
I don't think that's actually been released. I would be frightened if that actually got released.
Let that little blade thing go. Squirrel, get out of the way. We're coming through.
All right. We have a special guest. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get to it.
Luke Jacobi from World Headquarters down in the Motor City. Luke, how was your trip to California?
Oh, man, it's beautiful. It's crazy what a little bit of sunshine will do. When you go 4 months without sun touching your skin, I mean, it is amazing what 24 hours of sun will do for you.
It's why we always get sick. It's why my kids are sick all the time. They get no bloody sunshine. I have to give them vitamin D pills, but it doesn't work as well as the sun. You go down to Florida for a week, and all of a sudden their colds go away, the sniffles go away. I'm like, holy cow, we live up here where we don't see the sun for 4 months, like you're saying. You feel like hell. You go down there for a week or just even a few days, like you said, Luke, and you feel so much better. Get that sunshine in you.
Yeah, and you're not grumpy anymore. It's great.
And you're not grumpy. That's maybe the main thing. I'm grumpy all the time because I don't see the sun.
Dennis is always grumpy, but
I am.
For y'all that don't know, this is Luke Jacobi, and he is the director of operations here at Benzinga. He's Dennis and I's boss, man, and does he yell at us and ride us, and and he is just a tough guy, but he has a big job over there at Benzinga running things. First of all, Luke, anything new? You want to talk about the conference at all, or anything new going on at Benzinga?
Yeah, I'll call out a couple things. I was just back from the cannabis investing event we held in California. It's the first time that we'd ever done it out there. Totally sold out, like beyond fire marshal, had to keep people outside. And it's the first time we've seen that much interest in the cannabis investing space in a while. We've held the steady drumbeat for these cannabis stocks. But anecdotally, the demand that we saw last week was significant. I don't think it's time that we can say like, okay, we're all going all in on cannabis stocks yet, but it was enough that I want to take a pause and take a look at some of these names and figure out who's actually cash flow positive, who has decent financing. Because I mean, the interest was certainly there, and it was close to the glory days, I would say.
There's a good point here you're making, Luke, because obviously these companies, a lot of them were in a bubble back in 2021, and the bubble burst. But I mean, sometimes, you think even about, the tech bubble burst back to 2000 and 2001 and 2002. And, Amazon eventually emerged from that, So who's going to be, that's I guess the question, who's going to be the big cannabis company that's going to emerge from this? We're not putting you in the prediction business, but they could be, one or two that, diamonds in the rough here. So because it has been a rough time for cannabis here for a while here, but maybe we're emerging from some of that. Maybe some of these companies are going to, be, good buys here long term. Like I don't follow the, as closely as, some of you guys do, but, is there some companies are looking like they're going to cash flow positive here?
Yeah, no, there are names that are in okay positions, and like there's also some of the SaaS plays, like some of the auxiliary players. I saw Joe pull up MSOS, ETF. That ETF is up about 50% over the course of the past year. It's still way off of highs. If you zoom out to like a 5-year chart, or maybe we're looking at monthly candles or something along those lines, 55. It still looks rough. But on a shorter time horizon, there's some energy there.
Luke, do you get the impression that the current interest rate environment is having any impact at all on the cannabis space, whether it be for new companies or companies merging or getting a product to market?
There was no conversation of that. And again, I just spent 2 days with cannabis executives, cannabis investors, talking about where their businesses are headed and what they need. Interest rates weren't a talking point like I would expect that they would be in a lot of other industries. it was all about the federal regulation, and has been for a number of years now.
Okay, that makes sense.
For those who don't know, it's sort of nuts. If you're in the cannabis business, you're taxed on your revenue, not your profit or net income.
How's that work?
Yeah, that's why these businesses struggle.
Well, that sounds craziness.
It is crazy. It's federally contraband good. It's the same law they would use to take down all the gangsters, like when they go down for tax evasion because they can't get them for anything else. It's the same law. And so basically it's because whenever you're selling a federally banned good or like federal contraband, you legally have to pay tax on that good off of your revenue rather than off your net income.
Holy.
It's so tough for all these companies.
Yeah, that makes it tougher there too. What are like so MSOS? Tell us about like what companies does this hold? It's an ETF. Like what are some of the companies and what were some of the companies that are out there? Like
so we get pretty much all of the publicly traded market cap. I think we said at our last event, I don't know the numbers for the California one, but the last event, we had 98% of the publicly traded market cap represented. You know what I mean? There's the names like Curaleaf, Verano, Green Thumb, all of those bigger ones. Cresco.
Do the Canadian ones come down there at all anymore? Some of the Canadian ones?
Yeah, because they have the OTC some tickers as well.
Okay, right.
The vast majority do. I'm actually going up to Canada next week, Dennis. I'll be in Toronto for a mining conference.
My backyard.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on from the marijuana sector here, Luke, and just talk overall markets here. Now, when I was down at the World Headquarters a couple weeks ago, talked about a couple things in the market. One thing man, are you still in love with the small caps? Are you waiting for that breakout, or are you being patient, or is it just taking too long?
I'm being patient. So I am, in fact, overweight small caps. It has not been the right place to be overweight. The thesis is that this recent market rally that we have is so top heavy. It's the mega cap stocks that are carrying this market rally.
Yeah.
And there's all the value is getting squeezed out of those big names. And so the thesis is that investors are going to have to move down in market capitalization. And that's where I'm now overweight a lot of these mid caps and a lot of these small caps. Haven't seen that thesis come to fruition yet. But that's the idea, and I'm holding long and strong.
I think, Luke, you're in the right spot here. I just want to add to this because what I believe is going to happen here is once interest rates do indeed start getting cut. So we don't want to be too early here, but I feel like in the next month or two, people are going to start talking about this more because they're going to start talking about a May cut or a June cut. And IWM is a TLT play, and you start seeing the TLT, and I think there's a buy in the TLT here as well. I think the TLT has bottomed here again. So, I like the candle on Friday. TLT had a nice rally, a little bit of follow through here today. But there's so many companies, smaller companies that need cheaper capital because a lot of these companies, like to your point, aren't, just, printing money like some of the mega cap stocks were. And the valuations are suppressed here because interest rates have been higher. So if interest rates do indeed start going down, IWM is probably going to start to outperform. And maybe some of that money does come out of that. So I think there is a trade here to start maybe ringing in the register on some of this, the high mega cap stuff and start moving some of that money, not all of it, but some of it maybe into the IWM. So I'm with you, Luke.
Yeah, and I am too, Luke, to your point about the market being top heavy. I mean, you look at the Mag 7 names like Apple, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, NVIDIA, Tesla. They represent an $11.74 trillion market cap on just those 7 stocks. So if we get any type of pullback in that sector, or if we get any type of talk of an interest rate cut, I don't even think you need the cut. Just talk of the cut. Maybe you'll get some rotation into IWM.
Yeah. Yeah, and you make a great point, Dennis. The small caps are so much more sensitive to the rate cuts. Everybody talks about the tech names, right? Tech is going to go crazy when rates cut. Small caps are in that exact same boat, and I would say even more sensitive.
I think so.
What is the TLT play, Dennis, that you're mentioning?
Well, I'm just saying because
Rates.
that's obviously your proxy for interest rates and long-term rates. So if TLT starts to rally, I mean long-term rates are going down because the Fed controls the short end, but they don't control the long end. And long-term rates, have been going higher here over the course of the last few, 6 to 8 weeks. And that's probably kept the IWM down, holding it down. But if TLT actually starts to turn around and rally, meaning long-term rates start going down, then it's like green light go for some of this IWM. And I like the consolidation that the IWM is going under. I recently did add a little bit of IWM into my wife's registered long-term investing account. I'm thinking about adding some of the IWM back into my own too. I sold some of it out right around this price, but I think we're almost to an environment where it's starting to feels like it's going to start to get a safer play. The only wild card is if inflation ticks higher. Because if inflation starts to tick higher, then the Fed pushes interest rate cuts back further, and then this whole IWM trade falls apart. So basically, IWM is a play on that interest rate, or that inflation has peaked, and you don't want to see inflation start ticking back higher. That's the risk with IWM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, keep in mind where the rally's been to, right? The rate cuts certainly help. But again, it's going to come to a point where investors and funds can't keep buying the mega cap names anymore. If they're going to have to move down in market capitalization. Like, are we at the point where you can't justify buying some of these names anymore? No, I don't think so. The trend is your friend. You have the momentum. But we're going to get to a point where you can't justify adding more and more and more into these same positions. You're going to have to move down.
Nvidia's run, Nvidia's obviously up substantially, and I've been saying I think there's room to 1,000, but let's say it gets to it at a certain point in time, this valuations, it's fully valued. I mean, Microsoft is maybe seeing that to a certain extent. It's kind of, feeling a little more exhausted here. But I to your point, like you just can't keep piling in on the same 7 stocks. I do believe there's going to be a catch-up trade here. Again, so I'm kind of with you, but watch that inflation data. Joel, you were going to ask something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, 2 things here. Luke, you're taking also with that trade of the IWM. I know you're taking a look at that Spider 480 puts for a while, and as a hedge against that, are the premium. How far out did you go on that? And did we talked about you maybe selling some other options against it to limit the pain? But how far out are you looking on that SPY 480 put hedge?
I'm out to mid-April. Monthly is in April. And yeah, the trade was, and the thesis was, buy SPY puts. They're so cheap for the notional value that you can hedge away. And it was that we had great earnings. The market started getting top heavy, and then we had a couple days where the market was moving up, but a lot of these big names didn't. And said, okay, let's put a little protection on here in case this is a sign for worse to come. And so far, we've been cooking.
All right. So far, also, you talked about a long-term meta trade that you had that you just couldn't take it anymore, and talk about that meta setup you have, and what would it take to get you back into it?
So as a meta buyer, I bought a lot of the big tech names in 2022. Amid the sell-off. So I was a Meta buyer, I was a Netflix buyer, HubSpot, several of these tech names back in 2022 when all these names fell out of favor. I mean, if you all recall, I mean, Meta was so out of favor. I mean, it was like the stock was down, 70% off of its high? I was just checked. Down 78% off of its high from 2021 to 2022. And it's a crazy move in Meta's out of favor. And I was buying back there. I held on for about a year and a half. It was about 160% run in Meta after earnings, and it started to give up some ground after earnings for a couple days. I said, all right, I made it. The trade it's been enough. I don't want to be the asshole who wrote this all the way up and gives it back. It was the biggest single stock position I had ever bought in my life. But I'm like, okay, I can't, watch this slide all the way back down to, half of what it is.
So you
Well,
ring the register on
congratulations. It was a great call.
So you ring the register on it at least.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
out.
go.
No, but it's still going. It's
That's
definitely
what happens
up.
in a bull market. They keep going, and you regret the sales.
Yeah, I do not regret it. It was
right.
like a great trade. Let it stand.
All right,
Awesome.
Luke, anything before we let you go here? Anything that you want to alert our subscribers here to what's going on at Benzinga?
Yeah. I'll say this. We have some very neat developments happening in Benzinga Pro right now. Over the next week, I'm not going to say what, but over the next week, you will have something very exciting coming out in Benzinga Pro. So if you go to Benzinga, benzingapro.com, there's a free 2-week trial. You can start there. There's no reason not to do it. It's free. You don't need to put in your credit card, anything like that. Just go ahead and check it out.
Totally support that. Really
Yep.
quickly, totally support that. I know what Luke's talking about, but in this industry, we call that a tease, so I'm not going to spoil it. Luke, very much appreciate it. Looking forward to that. If you have not tried out Benzinga Pro, go start your trial. It's easy to use and get to trade along with us.
Thanks, Luke. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Talk soon.
All right, Dennis, we got a rally going on this morning here. What do you see? Did you get some buying balances here?
No, it's not.
No?
But it's by the dip, and it's in tech, and the tech is very clear. Nvidia's bouncing $8 here. Micron's having a great day. I didn't look. There's probably news on that. It's up $3.60 here.
How about Pan W, boys? How about Pan W?
Pan W. Look at our own Ryan Faluna here with the call. He talked about this stock here on Friday. It has continued and it has come back. 3-day rule comes in, and now this stock's green light go here, getting into this gap area. I think dips to be bought here, at least from a trading perspective. Up another $6. Could call Ryan Faluna.
Yeah, so much. Yep, so much for it staying down and giving you the consolidation here. Ryan, we talked about this. You talked about leaning on the 200-day. We talked about potentially if it got into that gap area, we're like, well, not necessarily you have to go long, but if it starts to get in that gap area, and you can see it here, where's the level? I mean, I can't tell you this thing's going to go back and fill the gap at 360. But man, there's people hoping that it goes back up and fills that gap at 360. But the S&P's back above 5,100. That all-time closing high is real close to the current high for the day, 5107.75. Did we cover all of our earnings after the close? I know we talked about Workday. What else do we got coming up after the close?
Yeah, so after the close today, Workday, Unity, and Zoom. So I don't think we talked about Zoom or Unity. Does anyone care about Unity anymore? I feel like that was...
I don't know. This was one of my best trades of the year, where I had an early... So again, when they did those layoffs, not that I made a lot of money in Unity, but what I moved it into. So I had Unity. I had it for a while. I had been a dog. It broke out through 40. I was like, oh, here's its time. And then they came out and they announced those significant layoffs. And I'm like, well, there's sometimes layoffs, cost cutting is good, but it was so significant. It makes me just feel like there's more problems here. And I sold all of my Unity, I believe, at $39. And I moved all of that money into NVIDIA. So I was like, and I even tweeted that day, I took my Unity money. It was like January, like the 3rd or the 4th, like right at the beginning of the year. And I had already had NVIDIA, but I bought more NVIDIA. So I took the Unity money and I put it more into NVIDIA. And I think I bought NVIDIA on the breakout like 512 maybe. And I've still got that position on. So that was obviously, up 40%, I think, on something like that. And Unity, I would have been down about 30%, because it's fallen like $8 or $9 since that 30. So it was a good flip. I wish they could all work out like that. Unity's straight down since I sold it. NVIDIA's straight up since I bought it.
All right.
So that's how much I care about Unity.
Zoom? You probably even care less about Zoom.
Yeah.
You know what, though? Zoom is so depressed. Its valuation has been actually not crazy anymore. Like this used to be, was COVID times. Its valuation was just ridiculous. But the PE is cheap on this thing. It's 13 times forward earnings. Again, their problem is the one-trick pony. They only got the one-trick. Competition has come from everywhere. We used to use Zoom. We moved to StreamYard. People are using the Microsoft product. People are using the Cisco product. People are using all kinds of different, obviously products here. Competition just intense here now. That's the problem for Zoom. They need to come up with something else. And I think it's hard to get real bullish here until they do. So I don't know. I'm kind of wishy-washy on this report. No position.
It usually is pretty volatile after it's it has good pops, and then a lot of times those pops are faded. So if you're trading this after hours and you're looking for a potential target, there's 3 highs right at the $66 area, and then you got a gap fill at 67.14. Is Kathy still hanging around in this one?
Oh yeah. You don't sell at a loss. She's the like what did Kramer call her? The best average downer of average downers. She just buys more and buys more and buys more and hopes the story turns around, doesn't turn into a zero. I don't think Zoom is a zero though, but she's still in this thing. What is it on her holdings there? Do you have it in front of you, Ryan?
I don't have her holdings in front. I'm sorry, but I'm with. First of all, that's not a title I want. And looking at the Zoom
average downer of average downers.
I don't want that title. Looking at the chart here, actually some pretty decent support at 60.
It's her 6th largest holding, 7th largest holding in the main core ARK portfolio. Largest holding is now Coinbase and ARKK. Then it's Tesla, Square, Roku, CRISPR, UiPath, Zoom, Roblox, Hood, and Unity. There's Unity. She likes her storied little non-making tech stocks, non-making money.
All right. Dennis, you mentioned that we're having a cloud week here. We're also having a retail week here. We start with AutoZone tomorrow. We also have Macy's and Lowe's tomorrow morning. So I'm sure we're going to talk about those reports when we get on here. But looking at that starts. And then later on through the week, we're going to have eBay tomorrow night. And then Hewlett Packard on Wednesday night. So we also have some retail earnings. Dell on Friday.
And some of the retail stocks have been doing better here. This Macy's report is going to be very interesting.
Indeed.
I wouldn't be surprised if it runs up into it today. It's not, I don't know position here right now, and I've been trading some of the tech stocks ahead of the earnings, but it's in a long period of consolidation here. There's going to be, still talk. There was talk about an acquisition here because of all the real estate value and stuff. So that gives you a little bit of support probably if the stock gets hit on the report, where maybe people come in, and if it gives you kind of a wild card to maybe trade it. I'm somewhat interested in owning this into the report. I don't think I'll do it, but it's interesting. It's an interesting setup.
Well, the takeover area was right at 21 and from private equity, and it went right to that on that day. It actually peaked at 21, 24, and actually came down and filled the gap. That's pretty rare. 1745 was the top of the gap area. And then it came down to 17.14, and just one day, just gave you one shot there. Now back up 21, as I said, 21.24 has been the high of the recent move, and 20.77 is the closing high of the move. Take a look at Lowe's. I know Home Depot. Wow, get rid of this retracement here because that's no longer relevant. I know Home Depot's had some declining revenues over the last couple quarters, but Lowe's, doesn't Home Depot report and then Lowe's reports? Didn't it used to be that way?
Other way around. It's Home Depot.
Okay.
Reported.
Okay. All right. And all right.
Yep. That was from about a week and a half ago, got bought on Home Depot. And Lowe's is now running into the report here too. So market tends to forget that Home Depot report wasn't great here. So I'm more concerned on the Lowe's report actually. So I kind of like Macy's going in. I don't like Lowe's going in. But again, we're not in the earnings prediction business. I rarely take, a positional trade. Long-term holdings, sure. But, I have to be really convicted to actually put a position on to go into earnings. Sometimes I do. I really got to feel like I think, they're buying these stocks and, there's been a play, to maybe buy some stocks ahead because they were just buying all dips. But I'm somewhat concerned about the Lowe's, and I'm kind of intrigued by the Macy's.
And you really don't even have to play the EPS if you're waking up at 4 and trading the reaction to them, Dennis. So
there you go.
Exactly, right? Just fade them all in the morning. Who cares?
Fade them all in the morning. Not always. It depends. Don't fade that SMCI. Don't fade that SMCI. Those SMCI traders at 4 in the morning, maybe we're getting handed it to them. So you got to pick your poison a bit at 4 a.m.
All right.
We got 1 minute left here.
Yeah, what do we got coming up tomorrow?
Yeah. So again, tomorrow night we talk about Workday and stuff, and some of the earnings coming up here too. Who's the guest here, Joel, coming on tomorrow?
Tomorrow it's T3 Tuesday.
Oh yes.
Yep. So I don't think we've got our speaker yet. We had Red Dog on, I believe, last week. So I wasn't
They're all
actually
good.
here last week. So it'll be T3 Tuesday. Just one before we close things out, Dennis. Talk about buying stocks ahead of the report. You know what reports after the close tomorrow?
Norwegian. You got it on the
Well, no,
screen.
that's in the morning. That's
Yeah.
in the
Oh, yeah.
morning. First Solar. Holy mackerel. Low bar, high bar, no bar? What do you
It's
think?
always, First Solar, and again, we're pulling it back here. ENPH got the lift, which I felt it wasn't even that great of a report, but they lifted it anyways just because it was seller exhaustion on it. We saw SEDG last week, just not having any of it, though. They reported disappointing. They just hit it farther. So you're kind of mixed here. First Solar has kind of been best of breed in the solar, where some of them have really been killed. It hasn't been killed that bad. I don't know what to think about the First Solar report. You got some support down here, 135 to 136. But again, it doesn't report till tomorrow night, so we do get one more session in here yet. I'm staying away from this one, I think.
Yeah, and those solar stocks, that has everything to do with the interest rates. Interest rates not in favor on those solar stocks. For me, Dennis,
no, everything.
That is a no touch too.
Yep. And that's the play. I mean, that has been the play. It has been very important to, from an interest rate perspective. That is what has killed. You think the IWM has been killed by interest rates? Solar has been murdered by interest rates. One more thing I just wanted to add before I go as well. Obviously it's 9 o'clock here. Berkshire Hathaway, huge buy imbalance for them at this time of day, 50,000 shares. So it does have a big buy imbalance here, folks. So if Berk gives me another shot and opens over 430, I would probably short it again, the open. Just telling you how I day trade. I have no position. I did short it a little bit this morning, covered the short because I feel like 425-ish is kind of 426, 427. That seems not a little more reasonable. 440 did not seem reasonable. But if for whatever reason Burke decides to open over 430, I think I might try the short side on this again.
Which it will not.
You never know. So it's all just set up. So which it will not. Joel's saying he's saying no to 430.
There's some orders in the book here. I mean, this thing does trade some halfway decent volume, and the all-time high was made Friday at 420.56. So there's probably a few shares in there. But Ryan, great job over the last 3 days. We didn't miss a step here. So great having you on. We're going to have to work you into the rotation.
Hey, I really appreciate it. And really quickly, shout out to Kenny Glick, because the one intro that I did miss, he actually made up his own, which is just as enjoyable. So shout out to that for last week. But guys, I really appreciate you having me on. We're keeping the seat warm for AB. I will be available. This will not be the last time that you see me on Pre-Market Prep. But don't forget, stick around, because coming up in just a few minutes, we've got live trading with myself and 13. We're looking to actually trade some of these names when the market opens. It was a good start to the week, folks. Good start to the week. All right. That is it for Pre-Market Prep. Join us tomorrow.